Share my screen. Okay, I always hate doing this when I've got two screens. So are you seeing the CAE study groups slide?
We're seeing the exam tips slide. No, I see the CAE study group slide.
Okay, and then, so starting with the schedule change, just so you all are aware of that. Swapping domain 6 and 7 on your schedule. Okay. And then next, exam tips. So now you've probably had a lot of people give you exam tips for this, but these are the ones that I used the most and found helpful when I was taking the exam. The first thing, read the question, read the answers, go back and read the question again, because that way you will focus on what the keywords are and then go back and read the answers. There's often...
I'm sorry to interrupt, but the main slide isn't moving.
It's not advancing?
Correct.
Okay, so
we're still seeing the main CAE study group page on the screen.
Are you seeing the schedules, the one that says schedule change?
No, I mean, not in the big screen. We can see like your list of slides on the left-hand side, but the main one is kind of frozen on the CAE study group.
Okay, so let me change.
I think you just need to do the slideshow.
I have it in slideshow, but I have two monitors, and I think that is the problem.
Okay.
I think if I turn off one of these monitors, would that change it? Probably not. Okay. Let me go back and stop sharing 1 second. I really hate sharing my screen when doing this. Okay, what about? Does anybody know there's a way to control it when you have two monitors? And I don't know how to do this. Okay, I'm just going to run with it versus wasting your time. Okay, so are you seeing you're going to see all the slides then probably. Are you seeing the study group slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, how about schedule change slide?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, we'll just do it this way versus running.
Oh, someone in the chat was suggesting you use presenter view.
Or this works if you just want to click on the slide as you go.
Yeah, I'd have to figure out how to change it to presenter view. Sorry, unless someone can tell me how to change it to presenter view, I'm just going to go with this.
If you click on slideshow. And then monitors.
There it is. Sorry.
Select your main monitor. Yep. Turn that. Yep.
It was in presenter view.
So turn presenter view off, and then you can start playing your slides.
Okay, so now what are you saying?
Yep, and then click the present at the bottom. No, just go down to the bottom.
Down here?
Yep. Right beside the minus sign.
Right beside the minus sign. Where's the minus sign? I don't know where you want me to be, sorry.
1, 2, 3 over than what's selected. Underneath the VSAE logo.
Like
it's okay.
I'm sorry. I'm not seeing it. I'm just going to run with this because I'm wasting your time. Okay. Sorry about that. It worked last time. So you've got a schedule change coming up. You all can see the slide now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and then we're going to go into exam tips.
Yep, can see that.
I'm going to hide that. Okay, so exam tips. You've all heard these before. You know, skip the first one. The two answers, you know, they give you 4 answers for the questions, multiple choice. There's usually 2 you can easily kick out as not being the right ones. The next 2 are ones that people don't usually think about, and it might even come up in today's questions. When the question asks, what's the first step? They really mean the very, very, very first step. And some people will say, well, it means after the board approved it, and it doesn't. It means the very first thing you're going to do when you're starting a new program. And then the last one, and this is tough for a lot of people, is when you're taking an exam, you're not wearing your current hat or whatever your job is. You are the chief staff executive of an association that has unlimited staff and unlimited money. And that's hard for a lot of people to kind of grasp, because they're like, well, I'm the membership director, or I'm the finance director, or I'm not a director at all. I aspire to be one of those. And I'm really not sure, how I would respond to that, but just, keep those in mind. You've got unlimited resources when you're doing this. Okay. Any questions about that? Any other exam tips you have heard that you want to share with the group? If not, we'll go on and jump into the questions. So I assume everybody has read the materials. Are there any questions, challenges that you had in reading the materials you want to discuss first, or go into the questions? And I will say I've put everybody off to the side, so I cannot see nodding heads or anything. Okay.
To the questions.
Okay. So I'm not sure how you've been doing it, but in past sessions, we've had someone take over the reading the question and then reading the description of the question and then reading the answers and then saying why they thought a certain answer was correct. Is that how you've been doing it?
Yes, that's how we've been doing it in most sessions.
Okay. Does someone want to take this one?
I can kick us off. Which of the following best describes gross margin? A, revenue minus all expenses. B, revenue minus direct expenses. C, revenue minus indirect expenses. D, revenue minus direct and indirect expenses. I believe it is B, revenue minus direct expenses.
Okay, and why is that?
I'm just trying to fall back on what I know about financials, and usually gross margin or your profit margin is your revenue minus one of the direct expenses for that revenue is how I've understood it in the
Okay.
past. But
Does anyone else have a different answer? What if I told you the correct answer is A, revenue minus all expenses? I think the answer here is it is revenue minus all expenses, and that's because you're looking at the gross margin. And that's just the basic definition of gross margin. It's pretty simple. Okay. Next one. Which of the following best describes micro-credentialing? Who would like to do this one?
I will take a stab at it. Okay, so which of the following best describes micro-credentialing? A process that delineates the knowledge, skills, and competencies required for a job. B, smaller modular-based units of learning with content and outcomes more narrowly focused. C, any audiovisual information or learning session conducted synchronously or asynchronously. Or D, the ability to understand the layers of complexity and accreditation to establish a competent workforce. I'm going to automatically eliminate C. and D. And go with B.
And why did you eliminate C and D?
The audiovisual doesn't really, I mean, I don't think that applies with micro-credentialing. It could be in person or online-based learning. So yes, my thought would be B.
Anybody get a different answer? I will say that I don't think any of these are really good answers.
Agreed.
Because the correct answer is C. And I think if you look at, but the answers they give you, I mean, I would throw out A, because it's not really it is a process, but it's not job related specifically. It's to an area of knowledge versus a particular job. So I'd drop out A. And D is the same thing. It references workforce, and that micro-credentialing really doesn't have a tie to that. I actually thought B was the better response, but the answer guide says the answer is C. And it doesn't give the source for where that came from.
I was gonna say, that doesn't make any sense to me, honestly. It seems almost too broad for it to be C. Like,
Yeah, when I think of credentialing, I think of like a certification program and like micro certification, so a smaller.
Yeah, maybe it's more the way the delivery is, because, I mean, do any of your associations do micro-credentialing?
no, not
No.
mine.
Yeah, I work with a few that do, and it really is almost, you take this webinar and you get this badge that you get to put on your LinkedIn page. And they tend to be, I mean, sometimes it's all done at once, like a webinar everybody's participating in, but often them are pre-recorded. And maybe that's why the C is the correct answer, but I've picked B, because it's more narrowly focused. It does give you a credential at the end. There are some questions on the exam where the answers do not make sense. And in the past, there have been some where so many people missed the question and all selected a different response that they have thrown the question out, in terms of scoring. It doesn't happen with every exam that's administered, but it does happen from time to time. And this could be one of those questions. So move on to the next one. Value-based pricing.
I can take it.
Okay, thank you.
Value-based pricing can best be described as A, how much it costs to create and implement a program. B, the impact pricing will have on dues and sponsorships. C, the return on engagement in implementing a program. Or D, focusing on what is delivered and what the market will pay. Okay, so again, I think I'm just going to eliminate A, because how much it costs to create and implement a program would just be pricing. It wouldn't be value-based pricing. B, again, the impact pricing will have on dues and sponsorships. I mean, again, I think those dues and sponsorships kind of happen outside of, I just think of value-based pricing in this question as being more broad than that they don't necessarily impact each other. Like, it's not that one's causing another one to rise or fall. So then I'm left with C and D. And I think I'm leaning towards D, because again, it just feels like you might not be measuring every program in terms of return on engagement necessarily. So D feels most right to me.
Okay. According to the answer guide, it's B.
Oh, B, okay.
And I think that the key here is in the word value. Because like for D, what the market will pay, the market might be willing to pay less than the value, and they might be willing to pay more. This doesn't make any sense to me that that is the answer, but that is what it says. It's the
Again, I guess it makes sense in terms of if the question had been, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's just worded weird. I think there's another way to word it that I would have gotten to be quicker. It just feels like we're talking about value-based pricing. And I will admit, I kind of use these study sessions to see how familiar I am with the material. I don't do a ton of studying before the session.
okay.
So I'm going in a little cold. But it just felt like maybe we were talking about it in a grander sense. But I do see how it, how you would set a value on your dues and sponsorships. But again, I just think the word choices makes it a little more confusing personally.
You know, I have a client that a couple years ago changed their dues model to be what they called value-based. And so the members could choose what benefits they wanted. And then they paid for different tiers of membership based on the benefits that they selected.
Got it.
And that did, you know, the pricing did impact which dues category they selected. So I think that that does sort of tie into it, sort of in the real world example. But yeah, let's just move on to the next one. Training. Is anyone here involved in training that wants to tackle this one? Start calling on people like in school.
I
Is
think
everyone?
two of our people here today are silent participants. I
Oh,
can.
they don't speak at all? Okay. All right.
In evaluating the improvement of training, which of the following factors is most important to consider? A, the key strategic relationships developed because of the program. B, demonstration of the value of training to the learners organization. C, increase in membership realized as a result of access to new markets. Or D, the amount of risk involved in developing and offering a training program. So I'm reading the question again, and evaluating the improvement of training. I think I could eliminate C, increase in membership. I feel like membership is outside of the realm of what this is talking about. And I think also A, key strategic relationships developed because of the program. That doesn't seem to make much sense to what it's asking, in my opinion. And then between demonstrating value or the amount of risk, I think I will lean towards B because it seems to be the more positive of the two. So that's my guess.
Okay. Well, they say it's D, the amount of risk involved in developing and offering a training program, which doesn't actually correspond right to the question, which is improvement. Well, I guess evaluating the improvement of training. So if you're going to be improving your existing training program, you are going to be I guess risk is a broader response because you're looking at not only what will you develop, how much will it cost, how will you promote it, will they come? You know, all of those are decisions that the association has to make. I'm not sure I would call that risk.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Okay.
It says this is from chapter 23 of the book. Okay, go on to number 5. Okay, certification programs.
I
What's
would
your
say,
following? Go ahead.
Okay, so which of the following is one of the main reasons for creating a certification program? A, develop a revenue stream for the association. B, create safeguards for consumers or the public. C, encourage non-members to join the association. Or D, identify new ways for members to volunteer their expertise. I'm just going to automatically eliminate B.
Because
Create safeguards for consumers or the public. Actually, no, I'll leave B in there. So which of the following is one? For creating, okay, so creating, developing revenue stream, that could be beneficial. Encourage non-members to join. Most certification programs don't require a membership, so maybe we can eliminate C. Identify new ways for members to volunteer their expertise. That happens when you're building the program or creating a new certification. Actually, I take that back. So to create one, you are developing standards, which could in turn mean safeguards for consumers or the public. Is the answer B?
it is.
Okay. Thanks for
Mhm.
questioning me, because I questioned myself.
No, and if you think about who has certification programs, often they're in the medical field. If you think about all the certifications, nurse practitioners, dental hygienists, all of those have certification programs that they take. And those are, primarily for, ensuring that there is a minimum standard that is practiced in that profession to protect those consumers, the general public. So if you think about it, though, all of these are ways that if you're talking about a new certification program, these are all reasons why you would do it. I mean, obviously, you're going to charge for it, so you're going to get revenue, right? And it does encourage non-members to join, particularly if you offer some sort of training program or a reduced fee for members. And often, like as you noted, people will use the existing members to develop not only the content of training, but the certification exam, right? So all of those are true, but what is, again, you're going back to like, what is the main reason? One of the main reasons, and the imperative, I think, is protecting the general public there. So that was a good rationale. Okay, next one. Again, we're in the certification zone.
I think this one's me.
Okay.
An entity that evaluates whether the processes and products of a certification body have met predetermined and standardized criteria is an assessment panel, an accreditation body, a subject matter expert, a non-governmental agency. So the entity that evaluates whether the processes and products of the certification body have met the predetermined standardization. Again, this one just kind of feels like one that maybe you either know or you don't, and I just feel drawn to the accreditation body. That seems like the overarching organization that would set the standards.
And I initially thought that was the answer too, but it's not. It's A.
Oh my gosh.
So I think that in that process of looking at it, we would kick out non-governmental agency.
Yeah.
That's just kind of like, okay, that's the throwaway one here. The subject matter experts, you do use subject matter experts, but that's not really specific enough. The accreditation body, I think, was a good choice, except it's not the accreditation body that's doing it, it's the assessment panel of the accreditation body.
Okay, all right. Fair enough.
And this is another one. You need to know that you need to know, you just need to know it and don't know it. And
Okay.
I would tell you, when I took the CAE exam, I knew I had been in the association field for about 20 years at that point. And as an attorney, I'm general counsel. I do all sorts of things for my association clients. I kind of had a general idea of, membership programs and things like that. I decided I wasn't going to worry about tax and I wasn't going to worry about accreditation because those are things I had never done. I figured I could afford to, miss a few questions. So this was one that I still, rely on my partners that do this work because it's just not something I deal with a lot. I think it's one of those things you do it either, you know it or you don't know it. You've studied it a lot or you do it in your day job kind of thing. That was good.
Again, makes sense. I just didn't know that such an assessment panel existed within the
Yep.
accreditation body, so now I do.
Yep. Okay. Here's another one. You're a chief staff executive.
Right, cool. As chief staff executive, you have identified a need for developing a non-degree granting program that provides instruction and training to aid participants in acquiring specific knowledge. This type of program is best defined as which of the following: A, accreditation, B, digital badge, C, certificate program, or D, certification program. I'd eliminate B, digital badge, because this seems to be more in-depth, and digital badge to me is more along the lines of the micro-credentialing. Non-degree granting program. I don't believe it's a certificate program because that, well, I don't know, this seems to, maybe it is more like a certificate program. Accreditation and certification seem to be more, official, like you were describing, more for like professional societies and accrediting bodies, and this is that have more knowledge, I think, contained in it. I'm going with C just because of an experience with my association, so I don't know if it's right or not because we make a very firm designation between that we have a certificate program that is about a specific set of skills versus a certification. Okay,
so they good analysis, and the answer is D, certification program.
And
I'm
so you're all across the board today.
You were close in the analysis. I mean, digital badge, obviously not. Accreditation, no, because accreditation is of an organization, not an individual, right? So then you left with between certificate and certification. And I think the key here is a non-degree granting program, that sort of definition there, non-degree granting program, whereas a certificate is a one-time thing. Whereas a certification, it is, you're taking training, you are being tested for it, and you have to repeat it to maintain your certification. And that seems more of a closer to a non-degree granting program than a certificate program, which is could be a one-off. Again, this is in chapter 67, if you wanted to brush up on that one. Okay, number 8.
Okay, which of the following best describes the statement established by consensus providing for a common criteria that an applicant must satisfy? A, a standard, B, a credential, C, assessment, or D, a digital badge? Established by consensus. Common criteria that an applicant must satisfy. Established by consensus. I'm going to say B, a credential.
You're correct. Why is that?
Because we've been talking about credential.
Okay.
Well, established by consensus, so that means that a group of individuals came together and made it a standard, but then standard didn't seem like it would apply because it's providing a common criteria that an applicant must satisfy. So I'm thinking about a job description, and sometimes they state that you must have this credential or this background. So that's how I ended up with credential.
That was good. Okay. 9, we're still on certifications.
Okay, which of the following legal aspects should be considered in developing a certification program? Antitrust, cost of program, insurance, intellectual property, antitrust, insurance, intellectual property needs assessment, antitrust, intellectual property, contract compliance, insurance, antitrust, contract compliance, needs assessment, cost of program. What's the following legal aspects? Okay, so again, naively, maybe, I'm going to eliminate A and D because I don't think cost of program is a legal aspect. So that's gonna leave me with B and C. And again, needs assessment also doesn't feel like a legal aspect, so that's gonna lead me towards C, antitrust, intellectual property, contract compliance, and insurance.
I would have thought that was right, but answer
Come
guide
on,
says
man.
answer guide says it's A.
A, antitrust, cost of program, insurance, intellectual property. Okay, so I was just off by cost of program versus contract compliance.
Mhm.
Again, I just don't see, again, this is me just like having umbrage with these, how these questions are written, because I just don't see how legal interacts with cost of program.
I totally agree with you on that one. I would have thrown out B and D because needs assessment is not legal at all, leaving us with A and C. And I wouldn't think that contract compliance fit in with a certification, which is why I would knock that one out and left with A.
Yeah.
But again, this is, I think this is one of these things you just need to read the chapter and either you're going to get the content or you're not. And doing practice exams is really helpful, particularly if you can get hold of old practice exams, because some of those questions do get recycled and show up on exams.
Okay.
Okay. 10. Strategic partners. Phew, we're done with accreditation.
I think it's back to me. Which of the following should associations consider in looking for strategic partners? A, sustainability of the partnership over time. B, increase efficiencies to achieve economies of scale. C, amount of staff involvement required for success. D, overall return on investment expected from the partnership. C seems too detailed of a level for this question, I think. I'm putting on my CSE hat of unlimited resources. I'm between, I think, B and D, increasing efficiencies or the overall return. Well, maybe it's actually a sustainability of the partnership over time. But that's taking the highest and long view.
That's correct. It's A.
Right. Phew.
Yeah, because if you look at the answers, and all of these are considerations, right? So when they say which of the following should you consider, I mean, you might say check all of them. Increased efficiencies, that one I don't actually figure, that doesn't seem to work at all. The amount of staff involvement required for success. I mean, sometimes if you've done this, your first year or so with strategic partner might be a loss leader in terms of staff time, because there's all that sort of dating before you bring them on board and start negotiating the contract. And then you've got to work out all of those who talks to who and sort of, logo approvals. And there's a lot of staff time involved in the initial part of a strategic partner relationship. And then the overall return for D, it might be more than just a financial return. There could be other things that your strategic partner does for you that may not be quantifiable in terms of just aligning your brand with their brand. And that sort of leaves sustainability of the partnership over time as the correct answer. And I think it also goes with sort of strategic partners. You shouldn't have a lot of strategic partners, and you would want to have them be someone who you want your association's brand to be associated with over a long period of time. So it's sort of a mutually beneficial relationship. So I think that's why that's the correct answer. But that was good. Okay. Who wants to tackle this one?
I can. Which best
Mhm.
defines a formal relationship established around the development of a program or service? A merger, B, a coalition, C, joint venture, D, shared services. That defines a formal relationship established around the development of a program or service. C, a joint venture,
The answer is D.
shared service,
Yeah, I mean, I would knock out
development
A.
of a program.
Yeah,
If
it's
they're
definitely not a,
developing it,
yeah.
okay.
I mean, it's definitely not a merger, so I would knock that out.
Mhm.
Coalitions tend not to be, it says a formal relationship. Coalitions tend to be informal. They might have an MOU, they might not. So I wouldn't say a coalition. A joint venture is technically, it could be a separate legal entity. So maybe that's too
Okay.
formal. Like you might form, like two associations might form an LLC together, and they would use it maybe to combine purchasing or something like that. So shared services, by default would be the response. I think this is another one where you just read the content and see
Service.
how these come up. Yeah. Another strategic partner question, number 12.
Okay. An association considering a strategic partnership with another entity will identify the partner's strengths and weaknesses, review a list of the entity's current and former partners, and understand the partner's financial position. These actions are a part of which of the following? Due diligence, managing risk, legal oversight, or periodic assessment. Again, I would kind of eliminate C and D. Legal oversight is like, I don't know that you're getting into legal things when you're just in the considering stage, doing these activities. Periodic assessment, again, you're just at the beginning of something, so this isn't periodic, this is the first one. So that leaves me with due diligence and managing risk, and again, I'm just leaning more towards, this sounds more like due diligence to me.
Mhm. I agree with you. I think it should be due diligence, but they say it's legal oversight.
What? Okay, all right, okay.
Yeah. And as a lawyer, I'm thinking this is a due diligence checklist.
Yeah, I don't, okay, like, again, I don't, there's nothing, I mean, the only thing that reads to me, again, I'm not a lawyer, I work with a lot of lawyers though, that even is remotely legal would be like reviewing financials, but even that's not technically legal. Like, I do not understand where that answer comes from. That reads as, I mean, I almost wouldn't even, like in a test situation, I almost wouldn't even like reread all the answers in the question because it screams due diligence to me. Yeah.
The legal oversight, because it is due diligence in managing risk part of just like a legal
Yeah.
process? Is that why?
I think that's the right answer. It's definitely not periodic assessment because this is a one-time thing, right? So it is due diligence. You are managing risk by doing this. And maybe it is because, looking at their current and former partners is not usually part of due diligence. That goes more
Okay.
to reputational risk, possibly.
Okay.
So it could be that, legal oversight is the highest answer, the broadest answer with respect to the options that they gave us. And this is from chapter 26. So
Ugh, okay.
13. Okay. Potential merger.
It's back to me. A potential merger between two associations requires involvement of the board of directors relating to which responsibilities? A, duty of care, loyalty, and demand. B, duty of care, loyalty, and liability. C, duty of care, loyalty, and success. Or D, duty of care, loyalty, and obedience. Oh. I know the three duties are care, loyalty, and obedience, is which board of directors have. So I'm gonna guess D, duty, care, loyalty, and obedience, but I can also see B, liability, sneaking in there because of the merger part, but I'm going with D.
B as in boy?
D as in dog was my
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. The answer is B as in boy.
Okay.
And I think it's because what you're saying, it's the liability, which could fall under the duty of care. Yeah, I think that's I would say liability is a subset of the duty of care that you would be, yeah, demand doesn't make any sense to me, success neither. So your B and D were like the two that you would go through looking at. And it says it's the duty of care, loyalty, and liability, which is not actually a duty. So,
But maybe it's the minimizing liability or something, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, in negotiating a contract with a hotel, which of the following best describes a provision that requires a hotel to make all reasonable efforts to resell any unused rooms? Audit, attrition, mitigation, force majeure. Attrition?
And because why?
Negotiating a contract, which of the following best describes a provision?
This requires you to understand the definitions of these terms. Okay, I'll tell you, I won't torture you. The answer is C, mitigation.
Mitigation.
So attrition is what you experience as an association when you don't meet your room block,
Yes,
right?
that's where I was going off of.
Yeah, mitigation, if you have it in your contract, and if you use the hotel's contract, it's not going to likely be in there. You have to add it. Mitigation is requiring them to, it's called mitigating their damages. In other words, they have to use their best efforts to resell those rooms so that they don't charge you for rooms you don't use. So that's mitigation is the concept.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, 15, again, we're back on conferences still.
Okay. An association is considering restricting exhibition privileges at its trade show to members only. Legal counsel has advised against this as it could give rise to what type of a challenge? Antitrust, price fixing, exclusivity, rulemaking. Okay, again, I'll admit I don't know what rulemaking would mean in this context, so I'm going to eliminate that one. antitrust feels, again, like slightly different from this. In terms of kind of everyone getting together and deciding on one particular thing or pathway forward. Again, there's no mention of price in the question, so I'm leaning away towards price fixing and I'm leaning towards C for exclusivity.
Okay, so I'm almost thinking I've got the wrong answer guide here because it says it's D, rulemaking. And I
It's-
would say it's an antitrust issue. You cannot guess you could prohibit them. You can charge more. Not sure how rulemaking fits in here. And this is one, it says it's in chapter 21. Exhibit privilege. I guess it is rulemaking. Yeah, you can limit it to your members only under certain circumstances. So I guess that's where the rulemaking comes in. The overall, it would be, I mean, generally it would be an antitrust question if you are limiting someone. It depends upon the extent to which your trade show is necessary. You know, if you were a national association and you were the only game in town for that particular industry, I could see where it would be an antitrust issue if you limited exhibition privileges to only members of your association.
But yeah, I guess in terms of you defining it as a rule, that makes sense. But then I don't understand the second part of the question. Then legal counsel has advised against doing this as it could give rise to a rulemaking challenge. Like phrasing it that way doesn't really make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense either.
Okay. This has been I don't even know how to describe this. This has been discouraging. I'm a little lost in this section of the subject matter because it feels like the most common sense answer is not the answer, and I'm admittedly struggling with this.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
I'm
Let's
not-
see. Go ahead.
I was just agreeing with her. It's like, you're not alone.
Okay, thank you. Because I'm feeling really stupid. Like, I don't understand these answers at all. Like a rulemaking challenge? Okay. Sorry, I'll let us continue on.
Okay, 16. An individual with a reading impairment has qualified to take your association's certification exam. On exam day, which adjustment should you make? A, allow additional time to complete an examination. B, restrict selection or choice of the exam made available. C, lower the test standards to accommodate for the disability. D, placing a surcharge on a particular individual with a disability. C and D, I believe I can throw straight out. Because you're not lowering your test standards, and you're not placing a surcharge on the particular individual. That would not be correct. I think the right answer to me is A, allow additional time to complete an examination.
Okay, the answer is C. Lower the test standards. And I think by this, they don't mean the actual tested material, but the standards that are used in administering the test. So it could be additional time is not what this individual needs. It could be they need someone to read the question to them or something else. Yeah, we're just going to move on.
Okay, a donor who would like to provide a charitable gift for a specific purpose to an association should receive which of the following: restricted gift contract, written gift consent agreement, non-deductible tax form, or fair market value assessment. A charitable gift for a specific purpose. charitable gift makes me think taxes. C?
No, the answer is B, a written gift agreement.
Oh,
And right, so if, and I think so non-deductible tax form, you may or may not need that. If they're giving you cash, you don't need that. If they're giving you property, there is a form you use for that, but it's deductible, so that makes no sense. The fair market value assessment, yes, you do that for gifts of property, if they're over $500. The two best choices here are A and B. And I think the broader answer is B, the written gift agreement, because it says it's for a specific purpose, but it doesn't say it's restricted. So it could just be a gift agreement, say that you're doing a fundraising, maybe a capital campaign or something. So you're doing a gift agreement for how you would like it to be used, but it's not necessarily a restricted gift agreement. And that's chapter 25. Okay. 18.
Okay, come on, I gotta get one of these. Collecting and disseminating business information considered useful by members is done through a focus group, a statistical survey, a third-party consultant, or a membership committee. Collecting and disseminating business information considered useful by members is done. Wow. To be honest, I don't like any of these answers. Like a focus group is more like gathering members' opinions, or your constituents' opinions. So again, I wouldn't pick that one. Statistical survey. Again, that feels like collecting information, but maybe not disseminating it. Collecting and disseminating. So, a third-party consultant or membership committee. Again, just blind guessing. I'm gonna go with membership committee, question mark.
And why did you not think third-party consultant?
Just because it didn't feel like it felt like overkill, like it's something that could be done third party or done in-house. So that's why I wasn't leaning towards that one.
Well, that's the answer. Third-party consultant. And I think it is because membership committee is usually not focused on doing research like that.
Okay.
Right? Statistical survey, that's too narrow. And I usually had the right answer for focus groups. That's not their really purpose. So, there are a lot of consultants in the association community, and they do the analysis, they survey information, they analyze it, they write it up, and they, help distribute it. So I think that's why that's the correct answer.
Again, this one at least makes sense. The answer makes sense to me. Thanks.
Yeah.
Before we move to the next question, can I ask what book some of these questions are coming from?
They are, I have to just check and see. It is not the study guide. It is, I think it's PPAM.
I'm sorry.
Um,
That one.
yeah, I think it's that one.
I'm sorry, which one was it?
I think it's PPAM. Oh, good Lord, I should remember the full title of it because I wrote a chapter.
Professional practices.
Yeah, professional practices and association management. The current cover is turquoise.
Okay.
The older version's got a red cover.
Thank you.
Yeah. Although some of them come out of the association, would come better out of the association law handbook as well. Those are like the only, that and the study guide were the only books that I bought when I was studying for the exam. I did buy the one book that I never actually opened. the Josie, whatever it was, one, I bought it used from somebody, never opened it, and sold it to somebody else. Okay. Number 19, we're doing time-wise.
At a recent meeting, an association board identified an area of public safety as requiring a new set of industry standards. The board tasked the chief staff executive with implementing the new standards as quickly as possible due to the public safety risks. Which of the following should the executive do first? A, draft the proposed standards and open them up for public comment. B, draft the proposed standards and place on the agenda for the next board meeting. C, hire a new staff member to be tasked with implementing the proposed standards. D, verify the proposed standards are in alignment with the association's mission and vision. I'm taking kind of the advice / exam tips that we got at the very beginning of this session and focusing in on the key part of the question, what should the following should the executive do first? And to me, C doesn't fit that criteria. I feel like that's a step down the road. I kind of feel like D, verify the proposed standards are in alignment with the association's mission and vision is the broadest, highest, very, very, very first step answer. So that's why I think D.
Okay, well, this says the answer is C,
Hire a new staff person.
which is rarely ever the answer. It's not clear from and I don't think this is a well-worded question. It's not clear if the board has already identified these, because it says they've identified an area of public safety as requiring a new set of industry standards. So they've not been drafted yet, those way I read it. Your board's already decided D, I think. Right? The board has asked you to implement the new standards as quickly as possible. And if you're going to make them done as quickly as possible, you're not going to want to do A, put them out for public comment.
Yeah.
And
I guess
B,
I guess where I had assumed that they weren't written is because it says it's requiring a new set of industry standards. That to me, it didn't seem like that they had already been written, but I guess I should have been included on the implementing part because that's the only answer that actually has implementing in it.
yeah, and that's a good explanation of why you go back and look at sort of the keywords in the questions. It gets more important when you get some of those fact patterns where they give you like 2 or 3 paragraphs and then they ask you all the questions, and by then you've forgotten what the content was. So let's go on. Talk about standards.
Which of the following is true regarding successful standards implementation for an association? The standards program will provide step-by-step detail on how to achieve the standards. The standards program will provide financial benefits for the organization. The standards will provide the stakeholders an assurance of safety. The standards will be dynamic and change with the industry. True regarding successful standards implementation. Well, if we're talking about implementing, I would eliminate D. That doesn't have to do with the implementation. I could see how A would be beneficial. We can, B is pertinent, but not with regards to implementation, I don't believe. So I'm between A and C. A?
That's correct.
Oh, whew, okay.
Yeah, I had to kind of laugh at D. It's like standards will be dynamic and change. It's like, come on, how many standards have been out there for 20 years and they haven't changed them? No. The process is usually such to get, you form a committee and then they form subcommittees and then they report back and it goes on and on and on. It takes forever. Okay, so next. Oh, we're getting here.
Okay, what is a main goal of association education? A, provide knowledge and skills specific to the industry. B, impart information to the learner. C, maintain best practices within the industry. Or D, create a training ground for members to become peer teachers. Again, impart information to the learner just feels kind of too generic to be a main goal. Maintaining best practices. Again, maybe I'm getting too far in my own experience, but that, I don't think that can happen elsewhere, not just via education channels. Again, D also kind of feels a little too specific, so I'm just going to go with A, provide knowledge and skills specific to the industry.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
Okay,
Maybe I got
on to
one.
next.
What is the best way to transfer tacit knowledge? Sorry, I don't know this. A, knowledge maps. B, electronic technology. C, partnership, mentoring, or apprenticeships. D, procedures, codified documents, and databases. I'm just not familiar with the term tacit knowledge, but I'm going to guess C, partnership, mentoring, or apprenticeships, because it's different from all the rest of the, that's actually a person-to-person type of knowledge transfer versus these other ones.
Right, and that's correct. Okay, next.
Which of the following is true regarding fees for educational events? A nonprofit association should always make a profit on educational offerings. Indirect costs need to be factored into event pricing in order to get an accurate bottom line outcome of the event. Pricing a course is a function of whether there is a for-profit subsidiary requiring a profit margin built into the registration fee. One reason meeting ROI is better with larger turnouts is because variable costs are a smaller percentage of overall cost per person. Geez. True regarding fees for educational events. Do nonprofits always make a profit? No. So I'm going to eliminate A. Indirect costs need to be factored into the event pricing or to get an accurate bottom line. That could be true. B could be true. Not sure about C. Larger turnouts. Don't understand. I'm just going to guess B. Makes the most sense to me. And it's the
I
only
agree.
one I understand.
That would make sense.
Oh, that was right?
That was right.
Oh, awesome.
Okay, what is the logical first step in planning a meeting? A, selecting a meeting site. B, conducting research on member needs. C, reviewing the history of past meetings. or D, determining the purpose of the meeting? Again, feels obvious. I'm just gonna go with D. The logical first step in planning a meeting is determining why you're meeting.
That is correct. This
Yay!
appeared on the exam that I took. I think they use this question a lot.
Oh, okay, good. I'm guaranteed to get one correct.
All right, which of the following is most true when applying marketing principles to fundraising? A, contributions are a one-time investment. B, contributors fund the future, not the debts of the past. C, contributors' funding decisions are based on logic and rationality. D, a case statement should be focused on the association's needs for funding. I was going to throw out A, but I'm not. Ugh, I'm struggling on this one. I don't know if C, contributors' funding decisions are based on logic and rationality, if that's correct, because I feel like marketing, well, usually tries to appeal to emotions. I'm not sure. I'm going to guess B, contributors fund the future, not the debts of the past.
I think that's correct. I mean, D is true. You need to have a case statement if you're doing some major fundraising as to why you need the funding. Hopefully A is not true. You don't want one-time and, contributors. You want to have people that are repeat donors to the organization. C is not true because people don't give based on logic. They give on emotion. And, there's this saying in fundraising, people give to people. They don't really give to organizations. So you've got to make a personal connection of some sort. But, B is the mantra, saying you need a lot of funds to pay off your debts. That's not a proposal that's going to get you donations. Okay. 6.
Which
Checking
fundraising
through.
method generally has the highest ROI? Major gifts, direct mail, special events, corporate giving. Not B.
Not direct mail?
No, not
Yeah.
direct mail. I'm torn between A and D. Can corporate,
Because
they're big, the highest ROI. Can corporate giving, can major gifts be a part of corporate giving? Highest ROI, major gifts. A, D, what if you have a rich member? A?
A. Mhm.
A? Yeah, okay.
Mhm. And I think the rationale for that is because with corporate giving, it could take longer to get one, but there's more given in exchange. Whereas a major gift might get a little pin or something, an acknowledgement at your annual meeting.
Mhm.
You're not going to be giving away free advertising and everything else to them that you would with corporate giving. Okay, 7.
Okay, which of the following statements is correct when it comes to an association's legal obligations regarding statistical surveys and non-members? A, there is no need to provide survey results to non-members. Oh, hang on, move my thing in the way here. Survey results must be made available to non-members at the same rate schedule as to members. Survey results that impact competitive advantage can be an exclusive member benefit of the association. Survey results may be denied to non-members who were eligible to participate in the survey yet chose not to participate. Ooh, okay. We do have legal obligations regarding statistical surveys and non-members. Okay, so again, D, survey results may be denied to non-members who were eligible to participate in the survey yet chose not to participate. That one doesn't feel right, so I'm scratching that one. C feels right insofar as the competitive advantage part and kind of keeping that as a member benefit. So that one I'm going to keep. Survey results must be made available to non-members at the same rate. Again, that doesn't feel right to me because that's kind of, again, one of the whole benefits of membership is member rates. And then there is no need to provide survey results to non-members. Again, that doesn't immediately ring true to me just because, again, it's a statistical survey, not one that seems to be giving away necessarily any trade secrets or whatever. So, I'm kind of left with C.
And the answer is actually D. And this
Oh.
is just sort of antitrust law with respect to member surveys. A is strong because you have to make it available to non-members if there's an antitrust, advantage to members. You're allowed to charge them more. So that's, you could charge them the same, but why would you? So the correct answer there is D. Let's try the next one. We're not gonna get through all these questions. There's a ton of questions here.
Okay. Which of the following describes the best candidate when choosing an affinity vendor? A, one who gives the greatest financial reward to the association. B, one whose references give testimony of a solid track record for performance. C, one who allows the association significant control over the vendor's activities. D, one who promises to commit to significant association sponsorship for the long term. I'm kind of between A and C here, because those seem to be the most beneficial to the association.
Mhm.
And I'm just not sure which one is the one that would I guess I'll go guess A, one who gives the greatest financial reward to the association.
I think either of those are good choices, B, but the one whose performance references give a solid track record is the preferred answer. How about 9?
Which of the following is the most common practice in conference planning and implementation? A, using a committee to determine subjects and format. B, allowing the speakers to select the focus of their presentations. C, covering as many subjects as possible so that every area of concern is addressed at the conference. No. D, incorporating panel discussions with a maximum of 4 participants focused on a sound group process. Most common practice in conference planning and implementation. It's either A or B. Oh, no, allowing speakers to
It's A.
select.
It's using a committee.
Yeah, it's A. It has to be A. The rest don't make sense.
And I know we're getting short of time here, so I'm just going to scroll through a little bit faster. Again, on conferences.
Excuse me. What assures that a conference is successful and productive? A, the conference is oriented to the hopes and goals of the attendees. B, the attendees listen to a variety of presenters during the conference. C, conference subjects are focused on the what's and how's and provide specific skill training. D, the focus of the conference is on the attendees as a homogeneous group with specific needs. Oh my. Conference subjects are focused on the what's and how's and provide. Again, I'm gonna go with D. Hopes and goals feels a little too broad. Again, any particular conference might not have as much of a variety as, I don't know what variety means. Again, it just seems like a broad term. And again, maybe I'm just wearing my own hat a little bit too much, but conference subjects being focused on what, hows, and provide specific skill training. I mean, all our conferences don't necessarily provide specific skills training. So I thought it was more D because it's more focused on that group of attendees' needs or specific interests.
It's actually A, hopes and goals of the attendees.
Okay.
This one has shown up before on exams, and I can't explain it. I think D is not the right answer because your attendee is not necessarily a homogeneous group with the same needs, right? And C, what you said is true. Not every conference is going to do that. B, not every conference is going to have a variety of presenters during it. It could and probably does. But if it's successful and productive, it's going to be something that people want to go to, and it's oriented to what they want to hear about.
Okay, that makes sense.
What is the outcome when a differentiation strategy is used in program marketing? A, the program or service is focused on a particular market segment. B, the association is different because it offers a specific product or service. C, members will be different because they purchased the program or service. D, the program or service offers something that is perceived as unique in the marketplace. I'm gonna guess D. The program or service offers something that is perceived as unique.
Correct. Right.
Okay, BBB Society set out to develop a professional development program for its members. When considering the following factors, which should be ranked first in order of importance? Organizational budget, projected revenue, usefulness to members, staff time for implementation. C?
That's correct. Okay.
Your organization just developed a new course on diversity for your membership. What factors should be considered when deciding on a delivery method? Meeting sites that are offering a special, member preferences with regard to learning methods, airline specials, or staff size. Again, it seems like the obvious answer is member preferences with regard to learning methods.
Correct, because you're talking about delivery methods. That's good.
Yay.
Next.
Okay, a new CSE, having assumed the role upon the predecessor's retirement, observes that the association is not reaching out to its components when it comes to developing programs, products, and services. The new CSE believes that a key step in building trust between the association and its components is clear and regular communication. The most powerful communications outreach for building trust with component leaders is A, phone, email, conferences, and field visits. B, conference calls and frequent email conversations. C, share information, seek input, and brainstorm ideas. D, polls and surveys, and seeking feedback to ensure message delivery. The most powerful communications outreach. I would go with A, phone, email, conferences, and field visits. Just because that gives you greater access to the components. It's not very practical, but probably the most powerful.
They say the answer is C, sharing information, seeking input, and brainstorming ideas.
Okay.
And I think that is the answer because you're trying to, quote, build trust with component leaders. And it seems like they've been ignored. So you're trying to develop a relationship that hasn't previously existed under the past CSE. So seeking their input and inviting them to brainstorm ideas with you for how to improve the relationship would be a better way to. Okay. Oh. Major crisis.
The association is recovering from a major crisis exacerbated by the downturn in the economy. The association's chief staff executive and board of directors are taking decisive action to recover from their financial challenges. One major goal is to decrease the association's dependency on dues revenue and increase non-dues revenue sources to 45% of total income. One strategy is to evaluate the association's programs, products, and services. To achieve its goal, the association will use strategies successfully deployed by other associations, more particularly data-driven strategies because they continually track members' wants and needs. B, alignment of products and services with the association's mission. C, form alliances with other organizations to raise awareness and build the association's brand. Or D, implement organizational adaptability and engage in the practice of purposeful abandonment. Whew. What's the question? So, okay, decrease the association. Okay, they're trying to increase non-dues revenue. Strategy. Okay, so they're evaluating their programs and services.
Mhm.
A or D?
Good. Okay.
D.
That's correct.
Whew, okay.
The practice of purposeful abandonment. And if you haven't read about that, that is making the hard choice to get rid of programs that people love dearly, but are losing money or are no longer relevant. Okay.
Okay. The association's board of directors has determined that it relies too heavily on member dues and one major annual event for funds. It has directed the CSE to bring back information on whether establishing a for-profit subsidiary is a viable option for funding. Which of the following recommendations from the CSE would allow the board to make the best informed decision? Whew, okay. Establishing the for-profit subsidiary is the correct decision because it allows the association to conduct activities that would produce substantial net revenues are clearly unrelated to the purposes for which the association holds its tax-exempt status and is an excellent way to manage risk. Establishing a for-profit subsidiary is the correct decision because after analyzing the amount of staff time devoted to unrelated activities, the CSE has determined that the percentage of staff time devoted to unrelated business activities are substantial compared to the association's exempt activities. C, establishing a for-profit subsidiary is the correct decision because after conducting a feasibility study, the study becomes the base for a detailed business plan to guide the new venture and is a prudent approach to safeguarding the association's tax-exempt status. Or D, establishing a for-profit subsidiary is the correct decision because by increasing the association's capabilities and scope, additional staff can bring expertise of great value in other areas. Ooh, okay. On whether establishing a for-profit subsidiary is a viable option for funding of the nonprofit. Man,
Want help?
again, the one that just reads the most prudent to me is C.
That's the correct answer.
Yay! Yeah, it just seems like, again, due diligence, you're just making, yeah, the feasibility study and safeguarding the tax exempt status.
Those are right. Yeah. I read B and I thought, okay, they've lost their exemption. If most of the staff work is unrelated, that's not a good idea. Okay, 17.
Okay. Your association has been contacted by a national corporation offering an affinity program. And reviewing if this endeavor is appropriate for your association, your first step would be to A, budget for the costs associated with such a program to see if the benefit is worthwhile. B, have the proposal reviewed by your legal counsel. C, conduct a needs assessment of your membership pertaining to the area of service. D, hire an accounting consultant to ensure the outlined plan does not generate unrelated business income. I'm going to guess B, have the proposal reviewed by your legal counsel.
Correct. And that's one of the few times when the answer actually is talk to your legal counsel. that is true for affinity programs, because the way they're structured could have some tax consequences for the organization. Okay. This might be our last one. 18.
You are the new CSE of an association with historically poor non-dues revenue. Which of the following methods would best allow you to develop revenue generating programs? Work with the association's public relations department to create a new association brand, hire an advertising consultant to sell ads on the association's website, conduct a needs assessment of interested stakeholders, or hold a meeting of the board of directors to analyze trends in the association's current programs. Creating a new brand, probably not. Develop new revenue generating programs. I'm torn between C and D.
Okay, the answer is C.
C, I was gonna say C, okay.
Yeah, a needs assessment, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, I think we can fit in one more. 19.
Okay, no pressure. The IRS applies the as reasonable test when determining the deductibility of membership dues, unrelated business income, foreign convention expenses, or donations to PACs. As reasonable test when determining the deductibility of. Okay, again, foreign convention expenses feels a little too detailed. Again, donations to PACs, I think that is something that they govern quite seriously, so I don't know that that would have a reasonableness test. So I'm just flipping a coin here, and I'm gonna go with membership dues.
It's actually foreign convention expenses.
Oh, come on.
Okay, we'll do one more. We're going to get one in here. Okay. Post-meeting evaluations.
I'm sorry, I actually have to hop off
Okay.
for another, but thank you.
That's fine. Thank you.
It's
Okay.
been a hard session, but I appreciate your time. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. This is the last one. This should be pretty easy. Post-meeting evaluation should go to
A,
A, correct.
Yay.
Everybody, you want to get everybody's input. Okay. So we just missed 2 questions on certification programs. That was it. All right, great. Thank you all for your time. Remember that there was a change in schedule for upcoming sessions in terms of swapping the next 2. And I guess that is it.
thank you so
So-
much.
Yes,
So
thank you.
all. Good luck. Good luck on your preparation.
I'll need it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, bye.
Bye.